the Navy looked into it, decided that what I had done was not wrong. I'd done some reporting from Bombay, which apparently they liked. And so instead of sending me home in disgrace, they had me transferred to Chongqing in China to be an assistant naval attaché there, which of course for me was a great dividend because that meant I had 2 years in China on top of my India knowledge, which broadened my experience. But that left Mildred in India alone. And so for a year or more, she worked. The principal naval officer got her a very good job assisting the new head of OSS who had just arrived in India. And so she or so, until she got a chance to come up to China with the US Army. At the end of the war, the question of the future of India became immediate. And that was when I got out of the Navy, back to the Chicago Daily News, and went to India to be there to cover the negotiations and the independence and the post-independence period. We had in our Foreign Correspondents Club in New Delhi 40 members. I was struck again about that number when Hong Kong was returned to China, and we heard that the media numbered 8,000 there. But our 40 included about 3 or 4 Americans, as the British, a Chinese, as I recall, and some Europeans. Not very many. But of course the AP and the UP were there, so that there was global coverage. The effect of the Institute's training was that I was, I think, either the only one or one of the very few foreign correspondents who spoke Urdu and who knew these personalities already and who was able to deal with them on that basis. That gave me a considerable leg up in terms of getting news and information and making judgments and so on. The story was coming at us so fast. Every day there were judgments and decisions by the Viceroy's staff, by the Congress Party, by the Muslim League, by the Maharajas organization, and other political parties, so that the question was how to keep the story in control so it could be understood abroad. And it wasn't easy because India was so different from most people's experience that they had to describe most everything. It was a crucial time in India's 6,000-year history. India had been under foreign rule, they used to say, for 1,000 years because the Muslims came first at about in 1000 or so. And all of a sudden, India was becoming independent. It was a messy process. It brought anger and rivalries and divided groups, competitive ambitions and so on and so forth. But it was a process that really turned the 20th century history around. So long as Britain had India, European imperial powers could hold on to their colonies. Once India was gone, then in Southeast Asia, the Dutch came under huge pressures. The French came under great pressures. And then the Portuguese finally came under pressures. And in Africa, the same. India gave me new perceptions of how people live in ways that I had never realized or thought about or understood at all. I had no knowledge, especially of India, no interest particularly in India, but it seemed to me this was a chance to get abroad and to build up till I could be a foreign correspondent. And this is really why I said yes, not because of India, but because of my interest in a career as a foreign correspondent. But obviously, when I got into the Indian thing, with a year in Britain and 2 years first in India, I was bitten by the India bug. And once bitten, I've stayed bitten for the rest of my life. The Institute experience has been central to my entire career. And what Walter Rogers chose to do 70 years ago has identified me, has been my being ever since. This appeared in New Delhi in 1964 when I was visiting in New Delhi, and also a British minister, or sub-minister, was visiting in New Delhi, and we were talking about the question of Indo-Pakistan relations and other issues. And some of these people thought we were trying to do something about getting the Kashmir problem resolved. This brochure, whatever it may be called, let me read it. Yankee Talbot, go home. Kashmir not for sale. Communist Party calls for demonstration against imperialist conspiracy on Kashmir at American Embassy on Monday, 9th March 64 at 5 p.m. Join in thousands. Down with Talbot plan, exclamation point. Down with anti-Indian stands of U.S. and U.K., exclamation point. Delhi Provincial Council Communist Party. Now, I saw that at the time, but then I was whisked away to a meeting, and I never saw this crowd. I was told later that perhaps 40 people had turned up outside the embassy. I forgot the whole incident until years later when another fellow of the Institute of Current World Affairs, Red Austin, found it in his attic and sent it to me. So this is my favorite souvenir of my government service, and we framed it and hang it on our wall now.